Welcome to the Morning English Podcast. Listen, learn, and speak English daily.
Have you ever felt that very specific stomach-dropping nervousness right before a job interview?
Oh, absolutely. Everyone knows that feeling.
You know exactly what I mean. Your palms are sweating, your mouth goes completely dry, your heart is just hammering against your ribs. And every single second sitting in that waiting room or staring at the little digital screen on Zoom, it just feels like a small eternity.
It really does.
You're running through a million different scenarios in your head, trying to guess what they'll ask you, and you're terrified that the moment they open their mouths, your mind is just going to completely go blank.
Yeah, that complete freeze.
Right. Now, I want you to take that universal high-stress experience and add a massive layer of pressure on top of it. You have to do the entire thing in a second language, specifically English.
That is a whole different level of stress.
It is. And if you've ever been in that position, or if you're getting ready for one right now, you really need to know that the dread you're feeling, it isn't a sign of weakness. It's completely normal.
It's just human nature.
Exactly. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our deep dive. It is such a beautiful morning here in the garden today.
It really is. The sun is just coming up. The birds are chirping. It's the perfect, peaceful setting to tackle a topic that usually makes people feel anything but peaceful.
Yeah, the birds are definitely loud today, but in a good way. We are so happy you're here with us in our little garden space this morning.
Yeah.
Before we really get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more easy, relaxing English lessons.
Yes, please do.
So today we are looking at a really amazing guide on mastering professional English for job interviews, because interviews shape your career. And when you add the stress of speaking a second language, that pressure just skyrockets. But what if there was a way to take that terrifying situation and turn it into a calm, predictable conversation?
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive today. We are going to completely break down the English job interview, from the very first hello to the final handshake.
Step by step.
Step by step. But the main idea we are exploring today actually goes against what most people think. When we prepare for interviews, we usually obsess over what we are going to say. We worry about our vocabulary, our grammar, our accent.
Oh, constantly.
Right. But the actual secret weapon to doing well isn't just about speaking better. It's about listening better.
Okay, I have to stop you right there because that feels, well, it feels backwards. An interview is literally a place where you are supposed to talk. You're being judged on your answers. If I'm sitting across from a manager and I'm just being a great listener, aren't I failing the interview?
That's a great question. It sounds strange at first, but think about how your brain works when you are using a second language under stress. You can't give a great, smart answer if your brain is working incredibly hard just to understand the question.
Ah, I see.
Your brain energy is kind of like a phone battery. When a native speaker is in an interview, they might only use 10% of their battery to understand the words. That leaves 90% of their energy to smile, read the room, and give a really charming answer.
But for the non-native speaker, it's the opposite, right?
Exactly. For the non-native speaker, the battery use is completely flipped. If you haven't practiced your listening skills for this exact situation, you are burning 80 or 90% of your energy just translating the sounds into words in your head.
Yeah, translating English into your native language, figuring out what it means, and then trying to build an answer to say back.
Right. You have almost zero energy left for smiling or being charming. You aren't really having a conversation. You're just trying to survive a translation test.
That makes so much sense.
By mastering the listening part, by knowing the natural flow and the common phrases, you save so much brain energy. You replace panic with preparation.
So it's about making it easier on your brain. If you already know the melody of a song, you don't have to concentrate so hard on every single note.
That is a perfect way to put it.
And that actually leads into something really interesting from our source material about what we think English sounds like versus what it actually sounds like, because a lot of people practice by listening to perfectly clear textbook audio.
Which can actually be a big mistake.
Really? Why is that?
Well, in a classroom or on a beginner language app, English is very clean. It's spoken slowly. Every word is perfect. Every sound is clear. But a real office is completely different. Real managers don't speak like textbooks.
No, they definitely don't. They speak in, what do we call it? Connected speech.
Exactly. Connected speech. It's messy, everyday human speaking. Words blend together. Sounds get dropped. A manager isn't going to look at you and ask slowly, what are you going to do? They might lean back and say it fast, like, what are you going to do?
Right, or they use filler words.
Yeah, they say, or they use a business phrase you've never heard before. If you only practice with perfect robot audio, a real human being will completely confuse you.
I've heard stories about this. People who are so smart, they know thousands of English words, but they freeze because the manager speaks just a little bit faster than the audio they practiced with. How do you fix that?
You have to change how you practice listening. Your goal shouldn't be to catch every single tiny word. Your goal is to catch the meaning.
The big picture.
Yes. When you practice with natural, messy English, your brain learns to be okay with missing a word or two. You learn to guess the meaning from the rest of the sentence. If you panic over one word you didn't hear, you will miss the whole second half of the sentence.
It's the difference between trying to catch every single drop of rain and just looking at the storm to see which way the wind is blowing.
I love that.
So let's take this into the actual interview. Let's do a real-life simulation right here in the garden. Imagine the door opens. You walk into the office. This is what I call the opening dance, the greetings, the small talk.
The most important part.
It really is. Now, on the surface, this feels so basic. The manager says, "Good morning, thank you for coming today." And you say, "Good morning, thank you for inviting me." It feels like just polite filler words. Do these first 10 seconds actually matter, or are we just warming up?
Oh, they matter so much. People make judgments very, very quickly. A manager is deciding things about you the second you open your mouth. This opening dance isn't really about the words. It's about showing that you belong there.
Showing that you belong. What does that mean in this situation?
It means showing that you know how a professional office works. When you do this simple greeting smoothly, you are telling the manager, I understand business culture. You make them feel comfortable.
Ah, so it relaxes them.
Yes. If you stumble or hesitate during a simple hello, the manager might start worrying about your communication skills before the real questions even start. But if you smile and answer smoothly, you put them completely at ease.
Okay, let's actually practice this. I'll be the manager, you be the candidate.
Sounds good.
Hi there, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in today.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you too. Thank you for inviting me.
See? Simple, clean, polite.
Exactly. It's just a friendly exchange. Don't overthink it.
Now, once that polite greeting is done, the manager usually looks at your resume and asks the most scary question in the world. So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, the open introduction. It is a great question for the manager, but it is so stressful for the candidate.
Because it's too big. Where do you even start? I mean, my first instinct is to tell a story, like where I grew up, or why I chose my university major, or maybe talk about my dog. But that's a bad idea, right?
That happens sometimes, but yes, it is a trap.
Yeah.
The manager does not want your whole life story. They want to know why you are good for this job.
Yeah.
This is where having a strict plan is your best friend.
A plan. Okay, what's the formula?
The best formula is short and simple. Background plus education plus work experience plus a tiny bit of your interests.
Okay, let's break that down. Background, education, work, interests. How does that sound in real life?
Well, a great answer might sound like this. My name is Alex. I graduated from university last year with a degree in marketing. I have experience working as an intern in a digital marketing company, and I enjoy learning new skills and working in a team.
Wow, that's really short.
It is.
It's very clear, though. You aren't talking too much. But let me ask you, does an answer like that sound a little too robotic, like you just memorized it from a book?
That's where your voice matters. If you say it with a flat, boring voice, yes, it sounds like a robot. But if you smile and say it with a warm, confident voice, it sounds very professional. You are setting the rules for the conversation. You are telling the manager, this is what we are going to talk about today.
You are giving them the menu.
Exactly, the menu. And once they have the menu, they want to start asking about the main course. They want proof of your skills.
Right. So this moves us into talking about your past experience. How do we describe what we've done in old jobs? I noticed the guide talks a lot about verbs, action words.
Yes. Using strong action verbs is so important in English business culture. It changes how people see you.
Explain that a bit more, because I think a lot of English learners, and honestly native speakers too, just say things like, my job was customer service, or I was involved in the project.
Right, those are passive words. When you say, my job was, you are describing a box someone put you in. You were just describing a list of duties.
Right.
But when you use action verbs, words like managed, organized, assisted, developed, improved, you change the story.
You sound like a leader.
Yes. You go from someone who just waits for instructions to someone who makes things happen. Instead of saying, I was involved in customer service, you say, I improved the customer service process.
I improved. That paints a picture of someone who actually fixes problems. But wait, let me ask a tricky question. In a lot of cultures around the world, taking all the credit like that, saying, I managed, I organized, that sounds really arrogant. It sounds like you are bragging. Isn't that dangerous?
That is a very smart point. In many cultures, being humble and talking about the team is the best way to act. But in standard English business culture, it is highly individual.
Oh, really?
Yes, the manager assumes that if you don't say you did it, then you didn't do it. You have to speak up for yourself. Using action verbs isn't bragging, it is just being clear about what you can do.
That is such a good tip. You have to learn the rules of the language culture.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're doing great. You're using action verbs, and then the manager tries to trick you. The atmosphere in the room gets a little serious, and they ask the classic, terrible question, what is your biggest weakness?
It is everyone's least favorite question, but the fear comes from misunderstanding why they ask it. People think it's a trap. They think the manager's looking for a reason to say no.
Well, isn't it a trap if I say my weakness is that I am always late and I hate waking up? I am definitely not getting the job. So it is a trap.
Well, yes, don't say that. But it's not a trap, it is a test. It's a test of how well you know yourself. The manager knows you have weaknesses. Every human being has weaknesses.
That's true.
They want to see if you are honest and if you know how to fix your own problems.
Which is exactly why those cliche answers are so bad. Like when people say, oh, I'm a perfectionist or I just work too hard. Managers must roll their eyes when they hear that.
They really do. Because it shows you aren't being honest. It
Yeah.
says, I don't know my real flaws or I'm too scared to tell you. Both are bad signs.
So how do you pass this test? How do you say a real flaw without losing the job?
You share a real small weakness and then immediately tell them how you are fixing it. Let me give you an example. Instead of saying, I'm a perfectionist, you could say, sometimes I focus too much on small details, but I am learning to manage my time more efficiently by setting alarms.
Oh, I love that. Let's look at why that is a good choice. First, focusing on small details is a real problem. It's believable. But by adding that you set alarms, you show that you are already fixing it yourself.
Exactly. You pair honesty with action. When you practice answers like this, you stop being afraid of the question. You realize it's just a chance to show how mature you are.
Right. And that maturity is what they want when they start asking for stories. The behavioral questions like, tell me about a time when you worked on a team. Now, the guide talks about a specific way to tell these stories.
Yes, it's a simple three-step formula. Because naturally, humans are bad at telling short stories. We give too much extra information and people get bored.
We've all been stuck listening to a story that never ends. It's the worst.
Right. So in an interview, you have to stay focused. The formula is situation, action, result.
Situation, action, result.
Okay. First, you describe the problem. Second, you explain what you did. Third, you share the happy ending.
Let's do an example of that. Let's use a marketing project.
Okay. During my university internship, we had a big marketing project. That's the situation.
Okay, simple.
Our team of 5 shared ideas, and I organized the tasks for everyone. That's the action.
Notice the action verb there. I organized.
Yes. And then, because of this, we finished the project 2 days early and got a great grade. That's the result.
Clean, easy to understand, and very positive.
Exactly.
Now, I want to introduce a problem scenario right here, because we've been talking about how to answer perfectly, but what happens if things go wrong? Let's say you are in the interview and the manager asks a really long, confusing question about a challenge at work, and they speak super fast, and you don't understand them. What do? Do you guess?
Oh, please don't guess.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes, and it is completely okay. The worst thing you can do is pretend you understood and give a confusing answer.
So what's the fix? How do we handle that awkward silence when you didn't hear clearly?
You just stay calm, smile, and politely ask them to repeat it. Let's role play this. You be the fast-talking manager.
Okay, so tell me about a time you had a really difficult customer and how you managed the escalation process on the fly.
I'm sorry, I want to make sure I answer this correctly. Could you please repeat the question a little slower?
Wow, that was so calm.
See? It's not a big deal. You can also say, could you clarify what you mean by escalation process? It shows you are listening, you just need a tiny bit of help.
That is such a relief. Could you please repeat the question? Simple and polite. You don't have to apologize a million times. Just ask.
Exactly. Don't worry if you miss something. Just ask nicely. It shows confidence.
Okay, taking a breath here. enjoying the morning sun for a second. We've talked about the past, we've talked about telling stories. Now the manager's going to ask about the future. They want to know why you are there. The classic question. Why do you want to work for our company?
Yes, the motivation question.
Now, let's be totally honest. For most people, the real answer is because I need a job and money to buy food and you are hiring. But we can't say that, right?
No, definitely do not say that.
So what are they actually asking?
They know you need a job, but they want to know if you actually care about their company or if you are just applying to 100 random places. They want to see if you did your homework.
So how do you answer without just saying nice things to be polite?
You connect what they do to what you like. The guy gives a great example. You say something like, I admire your company's innovation and strong reputation. I am really passionate about learning new technology, and I want to work somewhere that values that.
Ah. So you show that you research them, and you show that your goals match their goals.
Right. It's a win-win.
And right after that, they usually ask about the future. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This always feels scary. You want to sound ambitious, but you don't want to sound like you want to steal the manager's job.
It is a delicate balance. A big mistake people make is asking for a specific job title. Like, in 5 years, I want to be the director.
Why is that bad?
Because it's too rigid. Maybe that title won't exist in 5 years. What you should do is focus on growing your skills.
Like what? Give us an example.
You can say, in 5 years, I hope to develop my skills further and take on more responsibilities within the team.
That's safe, but it still sounds great. You want to grow, but you are flexible.
Exactly. And that flexibility is important when they ask about culture fit.
Culture fit. That means how well you match the personality of the office, right?
Yes. They might ask, how do you handle tight deadlines? Or do you prefer working alone or in a team? They want to know if you will be happy in their specific office environment.
Because every office is different. If the office is super fast and noisy and you need total silence to work, you aren't going to be happy there.
Right. And this is a great time to listen carefully. If the manager asks, how do you feel about working late on weekends? They're actually telling you a secret about the job.
Oh. They're telling you that you will probably have to work on weekends.
Yes. So you have to decide if that is what you want. You are interviewing them too.
That is such a good point. Which brings us to the very end of the interview. The moment the tables turn, the manager closes their notebook, smiles, and says, do you have any questions for us?
This is a crucial moment.
Now, I know from personal experience, by this time in the interview, you are so tired. Your brain is exhausted from speaking English for 30 minutes. You just want to say, nope, no questions, thank you.
Yeah.
So you can go home and sleep.
Yes. But you must resist that feeling. Saying you have no questions is a huge mistake. It makes it look like you don't care.
Okay, so you have to ask a question. But what kind of question? I shouldn't ask about vacation days yet, right?
No, save questions about vacation and money for later, when they offer you the job. Right now, ask questions that show you are curious about the work.
Like what? What's a good example from our source material?
You can ask, what does a typical day look like in this role? Or what opportunities for growth exist here?
What does a typical day look like? I love that. It makes the manager actually picture you sitting at the desk doing the job.
Exactly. It shows deep engagement. And after you ask your questions, it is time for the polite exit.
The goodbye. The manager stands up, shakes your hand, and says, we will contact you soon. Is there a trick to this? Or do you just say bye and leave?
People remember the very end of a conversation clearly. So your goodbye needs to be just as confident as your hello. Look them in the eye, smile, and say, thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Very professional.
Yes. Even if you made a mistake earlier in the interview, a strong, polite goodbye leaves a great final impression.
Okay, so we have mapped out the entire interview, from the opening dance to the polite exit. But knowing the rules isn't enough. We have to practice. How do we actually train our brains and our mouths to do this in a second language without panicking?
This brings us to the training methods. The guide recommends two main things. First is a technique called shadowing.
Shadowing. I love this technique. Explain how it works.
Shadowing is when you listen to an English audio sentence and you repeat it out loud immediately, like an echo.
So not just reading quietly in your head.
No. Reading quietly doesn't help your mouth. Speaking English requires different mouth muscles than your native language. Shadowing builds muscle memory. You practice until the English words feel easy and comfortable to say.
It's like a piano player practicing scales. You do it over and over until your fingers just know where to go.
Oh,
so when you are nervous, your mouth already knows how to make the sounds.
Exactly. The second technique is scripting. But we have to be careful here. Scripting does not mean writing a huge essay and memorizing it.
Because then you sound like a robot.
Right. Scripting means writing down the bullet points, just your main ideas. Write down the action verbs you want to use. Write down your situation, action, result steps.
So you are building a map. You know where you want to go, but you can say the words naturally.
Yes. And you should practice this in a safe environment.
Like what? What is a safe environment?
A place where it is okay to make mistakes, like practicing with a friend or listening to podcasts like our Morning English podcast right here, where the English is simple and you can repeat after us. You practice in private so you can succeed in public.
That is so true. Okay, since we are talking about practice, let's do a quick mini review section right now. I am going to say a few of the most important phrases we learned today, and I want our listeners to just repeat them out loud wherever they are.
Oh, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Nice and slow. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Good. Now let's try an action verb phrase. I organized the project and improved the results.
I organized the project and improved the results.
Excellent. Now, the polite fix when you don't hear something. Could you please repeat the question?
Could you please repeat the question?
And finally, the polite exit. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your time today.
Perfect. Doing that simple repetition really helps. And you know, the most beautiful thing about all this hard work practicing the English interview is that these skills don't disappear after you get the job.
Not at all. In fact, getting the job is just the beginning. The speaking and listening skills you learn for the interview are the exact same tools you need every day at the office.
That's right. The STAR method you use to tell a story. You will use that to explain a project to your boss. The polite greetings. You will use those in every meeting.
Preparation removes the language barrier. You stop feeling like a non-native speaker who is struggling, and you just become a great communicator who happens to speak two languages.
That is incredibly empowering.
It really is.
Well, we've covered so much ground this morning. Sitting out here, the sun is fully up now. It's getting warm.
It's a gorgeous day.
It really is. We've talked about how breaking down the interview into predictable steps, from the very first greeting to using strong verbs to answering the weakness question to the polite exit, turns a really scary experience into a manageable, structured conversation.
We truly hope this helps you feel more prepared.
Yes. Every time you practice listening to these real-world scenarios, you are moving one step closer to professional success and clear communication. You can do this.
You really can. And before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to think about.
Oh, please do.
We've spent a lot of time today talking about how to guess what the manager will ask and how to structure your answers to survive the test.
Oh.
But think about this. When you truly master these listening skills and you know the patterns of the conversation perfectly, you don't just become a good candidate, you actually gain the power to gently lead the interview yourself. If you know the steps to the dance, you don't have to wait to be pulled around. You can start leading. How might your next conversation change if you viewed yourself not as the person being tested, but as the co-director of the dialogue?
That is a completely different way to look at it. Becoming the co-director. I love that. What a perfect thought to end on.
I agree.
Well, before we officially close out, we just want to say a huge thank you to our amazing listeners.
Yes, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. We truly appreciate your support.
We really do. And we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments, what is the interview question that makes you the most nervous?
Oh, that's a good one. I want to read those.
Yeah, leave a comment below. We love reading your messages. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more easy and fun English lessons.
Give this video a like if it helped you today.
And please, share it with a friend or a family member who wants to improve their English. It really helps our little garden grow.
It sure does.
Until next time, keep practicing, take a deep breath, and enjoy your morning.
Bye for now.
So bye, everyone.